Same song as long as they play. You know, nothing but blues and Elvis and somebody else's name. No, but that music she treats you nice. So hungry.
Hey, what up? What up? Listen, I'm sorry. Get over it. It's 6:35. I'm usually on time 90% of the time. Got a lot going on today. It's Wednesday. Got positions. I got media. I got to go to the city. So in order for me to get everything going, Red Dog got to be a few minutes late. I'm sorry. Anyway, wow, what a 3-day move. We talk about 3-day moves. I was in my 20 of 520 this morning, sweating it out, going over stocks that worked out really well, getting my mind ready. And I was like, this is why we train. This is why we have multiple plans, because everyone coming into this week was like, oh my God, what's going to happen with the Mideast? What's going to happen everywhere? And meanwhile, if you take a look at the chart, all what happened was on Monday, what did we do? We held the 21-day. You had a red dog reversal to 592.86. So from 603 down, it was like 10 points in the spies. That's the classic definition of a red dog reversal. It pushed below, reclaimed it. You could have, covered some shorts, got long, and then what was more important, it took back the 8-day. So in one candle, it held the 21-day, took back the 8-day. So right there, you probably had to go from, neutral to negative to neutral to positive. Things took off. Nvidia was percolating. Tesla was looking good. Even like some other Mag 7 names with some of the small caps, and boom, here we are Wednesday. Futures are flattish. Individual stocks are on the move. And for me, it was, probably my best little 3-day pocket that I was not expecting, but I was prepared to go. My go time. We develop our go time so you could be patiently aggressive. So when you're patient waiting for your setup, you could aggressively go. Anyway, what up, Blair? Look at Blair's already talking about Dash. Yeah. Anyway, it's his like 3-day move. Wow. 1, 2, 3. 3-day active sequences, and we'll see how long this active sequence lasts. We'll see if it can take us all the way back to 610, 613. Remember this upper channel up here that broke to the downside that gave us the W higher low bottom, with a lot of news flow, a lot of narratives, a lot of things to prepare for. Meanwhile, the Qs, look like this head and shoulders, not head and shoulders, I'm sorry. This cup and handle pattern is almost ready to go, right? This too got below 524.88. Did it stay below? No. Came back above, took back the 8-day, then you gapped up above 534. Now it looks like, it could be leaving here. Wow, imagine that. Anyway, with that being said, I also think you could focus on the IWM. That was one of my bigger winners yesterday when it reclaimed 207.78 and had a nice move. I was buying it, and yesterday I stayed with it, and I do think at some point, it's going to take out this 215.43 and probably see closer to 220, especially if the SPY works its way up towards, that prior high there. So anyway, good morning, my doggies. A lot of people are very happy with Red Dog. Why are they happy? Because I've been friggin' not pump. I hate the word pump. Pump sucks. Don't ever use the word pump in trading. I've been talking about Dash, buying dips and staying with it for almost a year. We started on August 8th. Remember this candle on August 8th? That was the bottom of the summer. Well, from there, got to know it pretty damn well right around here, and it's been unbelievable. We've had it on some power plays. We've had some power play options. It's been on the alpha team. I've shown you guys the weekly cup and handle pattern to give you perspective on why I still think it has a lot of room. And P.S., you could have made a ton of money. I know guys who've made millions in this thing as prop traders. Yes. And meanwhile, here you are into the spot. Here is Dash, little dash of this, little dash of that. And, another spot to trim. Isn't that awesome? Isn't it awesome when you have an active sequence that you could trade multiple types of strategies around? And there's been a lot of strategies here, by the way. There was a way to buy it through 214, a way to buy it through 224, a way to buy a dip into the 21-day. Lots of things that we teach at T3. We teach a lot of strategies at T3, and I try and do it so you guys could go fishing for yourself, even though I do like to throw some fishies in your boat. Anyway, I've also been speaking about this Nvidia trade that finally worked. And then I remember looking at it yesterday. I'm like, guys, you know, we're just a little spoiled. Like, that the markets came to the 21 day. Spies went to the 21 day. The Qs went to the 21 day. Nvidia just held the 8 day. I'm like, what are we so upset about? P.S. Yesterday had a nice move through 146. I added those 147 calls. I was talking about them on stocks on spaces on stocks with the wolf, at 3 o'clock on Monday saying, hey guys, I'm buying these for 70 cents. And yesterday I sold some for 210. So that was a lot of fun. Anyway, with that being said, there's a lot of things going on out there. Oracle's moving well, a lot of things moving well, a lot of other semis. If you want to look at other semis, some guys were riding ARM. ARM very similar. ARM held the 8 day while the markets came into the 21 days. So that gave you, a relative strength type play to go with. AVGO looks good. We talked about that. Look at that gap up going back to all-time highs. Not so bad. A lot of just little things going on. Yesterday, some guys on the alpha team, wasn't even me. They're like, Red Dog, you need some China exposure. I'm like, okay. So I bought a little TIGR, thinking, hey, I've played this before the last few times, China went. And, now you have TIGR 12%. So there's actually something interesting. Like when you're moving and grooving and things are working, you don't mind putting things on, there's something to be said. You can make some really good money, So this is up this morning. I trim and trailed it. Somebody's like, hey, Red Dog, what about Pony? I'm like, what the hell is Pony? And like, it's a China AI or this or that. I'm like, all right, a little wide range bar. Let me take some, put it on. And then all of a sudden, this is up 9%. So you're talking about 12%, 9% moves, outside the go-to list if you're moving around and feeling good and things aren't working. Though you don't want to get too ahead of yourself, because then all of a sudden it's like you're playing craps and you have all this money on the table and then you get a leg sweep. Someone's like, I need Apple to wake up. Apple's been horrible. People used to call Red Dog the Apple trader. They're like, Red Dog's the Apple trader. I'm like, no, I'm not. That was like 7 years ago when Apple was a growth stock going nuts and we could make a lot of money. Then they called me the Tesla trader, and then they called me the Nvidia trader. What's the trend there? I trade things that are making higher lows and higher highs and have momentum. But anyway, AMD has been better. Yeah, I agree. So TSA says NBIS is on its way to new highs. By the way, you guys could talk to me right here, through YouTube, through Twitter. So I actually like that stock. I'm long stock. I'm long options. So, what does it look like? Somebody asked me. Well, yesterday, kind of had a little start and stop, but I still think that, this name is going to take out 52, 55, gave us a nice extra entry into the 21 day. Maybe it needs time, but I do think this is going to take out 55. I still think there's a really good setup here. So yeah, I agree, my friend. NVTS, my friends are all over NVTS. They've been buying it for a while now. What does that look like? They've been, they were buying it here, just as a fundamental play. They need the gap up. It could be long versus the gap up. And yeah, it looks all right. It doesn't look so great, I guess. You could put this up here now. Maybe it could work its way up to there. We'll see. What Mister's a pain in the butt. I'll be pissed. Mister, I screwed up. Actually looks all right, to be honest. It's time and a place, right? The problem I have with Mister is the day that I thought Mister was going to rally, I was buying Mister, and I should have been buying that CRCL. But this looks pretty good. Mister looks all right. Obviously, coin has been tremendous. Holy cow. What a move. We listed this at 263, 270, went through 294. Now it looks like it's on its way above 351. What a move. Everything takes its time, right? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm still holding WRD. Yeah, that one sucked, Michael. Not everything works. I got stopped out of that WRD, here. But hey, maybe it perked up a little bit. Listen, things happen. Like I went back. I lost a lot of money in this bull, and I went back yesterday. Guys were bringing this to me right around here, saying it's going to go back to 40, and it didn't go to 40. It got stopped out. I kind of lost track of it. And then everyone's like, well, with all the move in the exchanges in China and crypto, the bull's going to have its day. So I looked at it yesterday and I was like, you know what? I'll buy some bull. I at $11. Looks like it's perking up. A lot of people love this platform. Maybe it gets a friskier move. I know they had to do a few money raises, so I did buy some of that. Down here, I feel like it's low risk. Not everything could be a Tesla. Tesla, people were crying to me yesterday about Tesla. Like, Red Dog, you said Tesla's awesome. I'm like, first of all, I bought options on Friday of last week, and I sold 3/4 of the options into this big move. And on that day is when I bought stock. I bought a lot of stock at 335. Yesterday it was up 6. I was selling some pre-market with the 630 club, so I was okay with it coming in. And now I still think it's fine. It's up $1.50. It likes to play around a little bit. I'm still in the stock. I sold some puts. I sold some 335 puts, and there's lots of ways to trade it. Entries and exits matter in the stock market. Yes, it does. Is coin a stable coin play? I think coin is just great. Like, I have a coin credit card. I use it sometimes. I take some cash out on it. I don't really trade on it, but I use a lot of the ETFs now. But when I was very heavily into crypto, I was my Coinbase account was nice. It's one of those off the beaten path little funds that you could use at different times that maybe everyone doesn't know about. Anyway, Tim, somebody said look at TM. This probably looks good. Tempest AI coming up a little bit. It's a name that hasn't gone yet. I think you could put this on your go-to list. I don't know what it's doing today, but looks pretty good. I know some guys from the Alpha team were talking to me about it. Looks pretty good. TEM, let's see what it looks like it's doing today. TEM is up 13 cents, so it's hanging in there okay. Yeah, looks pretty good. I do think some of these newer names, these new issues, are doing pretty well. I did buy this QS yesterday. There was news out. A lot of guys from the Alpha team have been playing him. Some of my friends have accumulated a ton of this in the $5 area. So yesterday there was some news about, I'll post it. I bought some yesterday. So some people are like, why did you buy that yesterday? We were buying it like at 505, 520-ish. See what kind of gap and go this has. So there's like a lot of little things going on. A lot of little things. ASTS, another name that, could have made your life. Did I just say could have made your life? Can that happen as a trader? Yes. Can it make or your month, your quarter, your year? Yes. I remember this move happened, and then all of a sudden I had to go through this consolidation phase that was annoying, that had false starts, this, and that. This one we made some money, then failed, and then guess what happened? Finally, it took out 25.50, got above the moving averages. Yeah, we do talk about when things get above the moving averages, it turns on as a momentum trade. Took out 29, that was an ad. 35 was an ad. 39 was an ad. All of a sudden, 54. Look at that beautiful move. It's definitely extended, but this name made millions for guys also. Millions. It doesn't have to make you millions. Maybe you don't buy enough for millions. Maybe it could have made you 10 grand, 20 grand, 70 grand, or millions, or whatever it is that works for you. But either which way, it was on the radar for a long time. A lot of smart guys on the, stocks, charts and stocks, or whatever you call that thing on Monday that we do. I got to give Shay, he was all over this thing, gave lots of fundamental reasons to be in it. And for me, technically, it took off right here. And look, they were raising a lot of money in this spot. So new companies need money. That's why I've been accumulating ACHR. This stock it's a drone name. It looked really good, and then it had a money raise, and now it looks like it absorbed it. So I'm going to continue. I bought options into here. I'm in the stock. RDW also, drone-ish type name. A lot of institutions love it. Had its big move, had to raise money here. Now it looks like maybe, it went through it. It could work and fill this gap. So, there are certain momentum names, and then there are certain names that, aren't momentum names that, you have to accumulate and then go with when they follow your momentum rules. Amazon's not great, but hey, maybe it plays a little catch up if the market wants to hang out here. I put it on as a power play for T3 yesterday. We'll see if it could work its way back to 218. I did buy a small Google options just because I'm like, you know what? The market's going to hang here. Maybe this thing, play some catch up. You can make this rising channel kind of held. Still not, but it's not a focus. This has not been great. Maybe it gets better. All right, look at this. So here, I'm going to give a shout out to Monday Spaces. I'm on every Monday with the crew. So I can't row tub The Monday Spaces is key. I love hearing you amongst the young guys. Oh, thanks. Red Dog is like the old dog, you know. But it's funny. I never thought I'd be the old dog. But I'm 52. I feel kind of young, I guess. I was in the sauna this morning. I did 20 minutes. I sweat my butt off. I went in my ice barrel. Some of the young guys don't do that, but that's cool. BBAI was a big trade yesterday for some. I didn't go with it. But yeah, BBIA, look at that candle. Woo! That's a candle that goes to the shorts. Anyway, did I do that? What's it doing this morning? BBAI. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. BBAI. Yeah, a little bit of follow through. What's the SPYs doing this morning? Up 26 cents, hanging out. All right, guys, listen. We'll see, how it goes from here. You had a really nice 2-day move that could digest above this. Could 607.85 is yesterday's highs. Here's your next level. You do have a bunch of things happening between now and the end of the week. There is supposed to be a little bit of a sell imbalance, so we'll see how that affects Friday. But then next week, typically into July 4th week, I think is a good week. You have new flows for July, new quarterly flows. Then you might even have the president going into July 4th talk about those reciprocal tariffs that because of everything that went on in the Mideast, everyone got sidetracked. Maybe he puts it off a little bit more. So that could squeeze some shorts. So let's see what we could do here. Let's keep our head on our shoulders, not get too stretched out. Look for good setups. Look for volume. Use your tier system and stack them, pack them, and rack them. Stack those wins, my dogs. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow.